Hello and welcome to another episode of the AstraZeneca Women in Tech series. I'm your host, Ben Ventum, and today I'm joined by our Chief Digital Officer and CIO from Gaithersburg, USA, Cindy Hoots. Cindy, a huge welcome to the series. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Ben, for having me.
Excellent. Well, I'm so happy and grateful you could join me today. And as you probably might expect, I have loads of questions I want to ask you, so I'm going to jump straight into them. And normally I start with probably what's most enjoyable about your role, but I'm actually going to flip it and go, what's the hardest and most challenging thing about your role?
Yeah, I think one of the most challenging aspects of being a chief digital officer and a CIO is really this need to balance opposite ends of the spectrum. So on one hand, I'm driving innovation, but we need to keep our systems up and running. We're looking to tailor things to individual market needs, and yet at the same time, we know that scale is vitally important. We look at things like how do we deliver at speed in a digital world, and yet at the same time having to ensure that we're doing all the rigor and the compliance needed for pharmaceutical industry. So it's really about how can you balance what seemingly looks like opposing priorities and make sure that you're doing them both equally at the same time.
Now I'm going to ask you the normal question, and I'm sure there's loads of different examples, but what is, if you could pick one most enjoyable aspect of your role, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it's really over the years, it's become even more enjoyable to be a technologist. And, you know, with the role that technology is playing in changing the face of business and being able to connect with patients, with consumers on a much more intimate basis, all of a sudden, you know, I'm finding this profession that I love and have worked in for the past, 25 years is really now front and center of how businesses will succeed. And so it's been really rewarding. And, as we just think about this last year and what's happened with the pandemic, all of a sudden, I think the world's got a stronger appreciation for the role that technology needs to play.
Completely, yeah. So taking you back then, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Well, I think the earliest memory I have of wanting to have a specific role, I think I was 8 years old, and I wanted to be the U.S. ambassador to Russia. And I have no idea where that came from, other than thinking about the fact that regardless of political systems and political leaders, I think people around the world really are the same. They have the same hopes and dreams for their families. They want to do the right thing. They want to have a meaningful, life and career. And I just thought if you could get to the level of the people, that you'd actually find we had more in common than not. And so I never quite went into that line of work, but I was able, as part of my technology job, has taken me all over the world. And I did get to go to Russia in 2004 and spend some time there. So
awesome. Okay, great. And so when was it then that you actually thought, technology is something I want to go into? What was it about it that made you think that I can have a career in technology?
Yeah, I remember in high school, we had a career fair, and different universities and companies coming in to talk to us about career choices. And that's where I first learned really about computers. And, I started quite a long time ago, and they weren't as common as they are now. And it, seemed new and innovative and really inspired me to think, hey, that's something that I could potentially do. So it all started from, the career fair that we had in high school.
Brilliant. And so moving away from the technology bit, but did you have aspirations of being a senior leader from kind of early on in your career, or and perhaps did you display leadership qualities at a young age, or was it something that kind of just came naturally to you?
I never had any aspiration to have the senior leader role I have today. I think I'm someone that's always motivated by, I want challenging work. I love to learn. I love to have new experiences, and really more motivated by the opportunity to maybe make a more meaningful impact rather than any intention of climbing the corporate ladder. So I do joke sometimes that it's funny that I've ended up where I have because it was never a stated ambition or something that I went after. But I think this passion and this love for learning new things and moving around into different aspects of IT, whether that's working in a commercial business or R&D or operations, et cetera, really then just gave me the experience needed for this type of job. But it's something that kind of came later, not something that I'd set out to do at the beginning.
And I'm going to get you to self-reflect a bit. What makes a good chief digital officer and CIO? What are the core skills that you kind of require?
So I would say you have to balance being a technologist as well as a business leader. And I think that really has to go hand in hand, because you're not just doing technology for technology's sake, you're doing it to really enhance the overall strategy of the company. And so this business mindset is something that I think is pretty fundamentally important to our roles. But then again, it's things like, do you have deep technical expertise? Do you know how to join dots? Can you look at complex situations and start to identify where the real opportunities exist? Are you able to bring together and help people see where they can join things together to get exponential value? Takes a lot of negotiation, a lot of influencing at times. But I think as well, a willingness and an openness to take risks and do things that maybe you don't think that you can achieve, and being a bit bold because it's an area that not everyone understands. And so part of it is being an educator and part of it is being a thought leader and an innovator, but you also have to then deliver it. So it's about being an executor and being able to get things delivered. So it's really a combination of capabilities, I think, that then allow you to do the role effectively.
Sounds like you have to wear multiple hats at any one time.
Exactly.
As we're filming this, it's about a year maybe since you joined us, and obviously the last year has been a challenge for everybody on the planet. What did it feel like to be ultimately the senior leader of AZIT, leading well over 5,000 IT employees worldwide? I've spoken to many people actually that have come on this series as well that have named you as their sole inspiration and role model. How does that feel to be in such a high profile position and a critical position as well for, I guess, not only the company but at the moment the world?
No, I think I'm incredibly proud of our IT organization. I joined the company, as you say, in January of last year, and it was just a few weeks in that we started to see some of the initial signs of the pandemic in Asia. And to be able to join an organization and help lead, but also to watch and learn from a group of people who were able to so rapidly adapt and change and ensure that our business could continue to operate during what everyone talks about as these unprecedented times has been a real honor. And it's something that has probably exceeded my expectations of the role. I've seen our team at their best. I've seen what they've done to go out of their way to really ensure that AstraZeneca could continue to deliver the life-saving medicines that we do, and to see how they came together and collaborated, not only across IT, but with all of the different functions within the company. And so, yeah, I couldn't be more proud to have the opportunity to kind of lead the organization. But so much of what we've achieved really comes from the people who really have given so much to ensure that things continue to progress well over the last year.
Thank you. And as I mentioned, that so many people that I've spoken to internally look at you as a huge role model, and I'm sure there are many many women out there that maybe aren't in tech but are thinking about technology as a career, that will look at you and go, wow, you know, look how great, you know, the fantastic career she's had. What advice would you give to women that are perhaps looking to get into technology, or may even, you know, be in another career but are thinking about hopping over and starting out? What kind of advice would you be able to give?
Yeah, I mean, one of the probably best pieces of advice I can give is just jump and trust that the safety net will appear. And I think for so many, particularly women, and statistically there's evidence that, you know, women are a little bit more risk adverse. As a generalization, we typically want to make sure that we can do, you know, 90% of the job before we raise our hand. And I think what has probably helped me the most is just raising my hand quickly and saying, yes, I'll do that, and leaning into new opportunities, oftentimes when you don't even think that you can necessarily do it, because chances are you can, you just are putting a higher bar on yourself. So this concept of just going for it, I think is something I've probably learned more in the last 10 years that I wish I kind of had started off my career knowing.
Excellent, great advice. And this is my penultimate question. So, so what actually made you join AstraZeneca, and how, you know, within this last year, how has the business kind of helped you to kind of grow and develop?
I had been approached by AstraZeneca for this particular job, and what really intrigued me and interested me about this is what I tend to like to be more of a futurist. I want to think about what's happening in the next 5 or 10 or 15 years. For most of my career, I was living in the Industrial Revolution era, you know, mass production of consumer goods or other products. And then we found ourselves moving from the Industrial Revolution into the digital revolution. My belief is the next one will be biological, and we'll have a biological revolution where things will become so hyper personalized into individual needs. You'll have, you know, whether it's hair care and skin products that are tailored to you, whether it's medicines that are tailored to you, whether it's, you know, other, you know, goods and services that are hyper personalized. And so the opportunity to be part of a life science company as we get ready to embark on this next revolution is hugely exciting. And so that was what, when I was approached, really kind of got me interested. I think the cultural alignment as well, the commitment to, you know, a broader purpose, you know, wanting to do good in the world, always doing the right thing, leading with science, those things really spoke to me. We're aligned with, you know, kind of my values as well. And I have to say, it has completely exceeded my expectations. It has been so fun to be part of this company, especially during a time where the work that we do, it could never be more impactful than it is right now. And this sense that we have the opportunity to really help society at large.
So my last question, and it's normally, yeah, it's the most important question really, because I get to ask everyone that comes on the series about, you know, what more do they think that we could be doing? And I say we as us, a company, but also society, to support greater female representation within technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think for many people, it's just seeing female leaders. I remember when I was the CIO for SAB Miller in Africa, after my first town hall, I had several women come up to me and say, you know, we didn't realize a woman could have that job. Because in the 126 years of the company, they had never had a female CIO. And sometimes it's just recognizing that somebody that looks like you can hold a job that opens up your mind. But then as companies and as leaders, what I think we need to do is not only focus on diversity, because I think we need all types of diversities, but really around how can we drive inclusion? Because you can hire diverse talent, but if you don't create an inclusive environment, then what happens is that talent quickly leaves. And so I think for all of us, there's such a need to think about the diversity and the value that that brings, and find ways in our day-to-day working to really embrace it and make people feel included.
Fantastic, and yeah, well said. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. It feels like it's flown by. So Cindy, I want to say a massive thank you for being such a great guest, for giving up your time to speak with me. I know time is precious.
Thanks for having me.
And to the viewers, thanks again for watching. And if you've enjoyed the session, feel free to comment or share. And if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the series for all the latest episodes. But in the meantime, please do take care, and we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.